All right, everybody, in this next video, James Leithart, a name that I've studied since 2019, and I know a lot of you have seen his channel. His channel is beautiful. My thing is, what don't I know about him? In other words, where's he from? Why did he pick Bucharest, Albania? Why did he pick Albania as a whole? How many countries has he been to? How old was he when he started traveling? We're going to find out all those things today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Family and friends, I got a special treat for you today. James Leithart, man, really good to see you. You know, when I started studying overseas or traveling, your channel kept popping up on me for Albania. I must say, his work is beautiful. If you haven't seen his channel, you got to check it out. I know most of you have. Most of you have got to have. And I started looking at traveling in 2019. But I noticed you moved really young. So what I want to ask you, since there's so many things I don't know about you, I'm guessing they won't know about you. When you first started traveling, leaving the country, how old were you?
Well, it depends on how far back we want to go. Because when I was about 2, my family moved from the US to England.
Wow.
My dad got his doctorate at the University of Cambridge. And so, but that was only for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then I was probably 20 when I left. I was in college playing basketball for my college, and we did a mission trip to Costa Rica.
Wow. Okay.
And then when I was 21, I went and was in South Africa for 3 months. And that's really what like really got my the bug was about 21 in South Africa. So that was 2013.
Wow. I was going to ask you, was there a specific trigger, or is there a couple of events that led you up to wanting to leave?
Yeah, a lot of it. The events mostly were growing up in a small town in North Idaho and never really going anywhere.
Gotcha.
The furthest I would go from home usually was like 45 minutes away, and then occasionally my family, like my extended family's in the South in Georgia, and so we would go there, but never really did a whole lot, never went a whole lot of places. And so then in college I got opportunities to travel bigger trips internationally, kind of on my own some and kind of with other people. So I took advantage of that.
Man, I'm so jealous of that you were able to do that, because I punched out at 60 thinking I was early. Then I meet guys like you traveling the world at such a young age.
Well, but I'm not retired though, so
right,
it's different.
Yeah,
it's different.
But still I'm jealous. Like, I wish I could have done it like that.
It's a privilege to be in that position.
I can imagine.
It's not. I realize that not everyone's life is set up in a way that they can do that. So
you did South Africa. What other countries have you been in?
What countries have I not
have
been
you visited? No, that you've already visited.
I've been to. I just knocked off country 40 and 41 in Ireland and Northern Ireland.
Okay, yeah.
So I've been all over the place, mostly concentrated in Europe, because I've lived here for 7 years. It's easy to bounce around Europe. But then excluding that, South Africa, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, New Zealand, Indonesia are the main ones that are out. Oh, and Ghana are the main ones outside of the kind of European area. And then a little bit in the Middle East, like United Arab Emirates and Qatar.
Well, what's Qatar like?
Well, it's hard for me to say. I was working for a hotel, and so we were in this 5-star hotel for 3 days, just taking photos everywhere. Okay. So it was interesting. We were in the financial district of Doha. Okay. And it was a lot of building shells that they wanted to build it to make it look nice, but then if you walk up and peer in the windows, it was still a construction site. Okay. So it's hard to like gauge what Qatar was actually like, just because of the nature of why I was there.
So you've been to a bunch of different continents. Is there a particular continent that's your favorite? Is it Europe?
I don't think it's Europe, but I think it's because in my mind, the like Australian continent generally has a lot of unknowns for me and a lot of adventure possibilities. And so being in New Zealand is one of my favorite countries I've ever been to.
Really?
A mixture of the people, my experiences there, and just the landscapes and how it looks. And so I think that probably is like the trump card for like that's the continent that I like the most right now. Europe is cool. I like that it has different cultures and different languages and very different experiences depending on where you are. But if I were to go and spend a lot of time in one continent, I think I would go do Australia and the islands kind of around Australia, Tasmania, New Zealand, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Now, when did you first come to Albania?
I first came to Albania in 2017.
Wow.
I was with my father. He got asked to give some lectures at a local university, and they offered to put him and my mom up. And my mom didn't have an interest in going on that trip with him. And so he said, well, can I bring my son instead? Because at that time I was doing freelance video. I was traveling whenever I had time. and he said, if you pay for your plane ticket, they'll cover everything for 2 people.
Wonderful.
So I came to Albania. He gave his lectures, and I met some guys, some local tour guides, and I was off hiking in the mountains and sleeping in villages while my dad was speaking to a crowd of
Really
people.
cool.
Yeah.
So that leads me up to, so out of all these nations, and you picked Albania, and you've been here for several years.
Yeah.
Why? And then I want to ask you, you picked Pokerdest, a beautiful city that we both live in. You know, how did that come to be?
So most of that ends up being, like I picked Albania and picked Pokerdest because that's where the job was that I got. So I was in New Zealand doing a road trip for a month and realized how big the world is and how relatively easy it is to exist in a country that wasn't my own country.
Gotcha.
Obviously New Zealand, they speak English, so it made it a little bit easier. But I thought, there's too much in the world to just, go into what society tells me I need to do and graduate college and get a job and start a family and all this stuff. Right. And so I said, let me take a different path and see what I can do. So while I was in New Zealand, I started reaching out to people in various countries, just connections that I had through my network to try to find people who I could work for.
Gotcha.
And so I had a job lined up in Pristina in Kosovo, actually. And then I thought, let me take one more Hail Mary and email these people in Pokerdest to see if they have some video work for me. And in Pristina, it was at a school. I was at an international school, so not something I really wanted to do. It was teaching, wasn't really what I wanted to do. But I thought if it gets me out of the U.S., then I'll take it. And so I sent an email to this local nonprofit here, and asked if they had openings for my skill set, and they had been looking for someone with that skill set. And the email was to someone I had met on my first trip here. Okay. And so I didn't really pick Pokerdest specifically, and I didn't pick Albania specifically, except for, do I want to go to Pristina in Kosovo, or do I want to go to Pokerdest, Albania, where I've been before? It's next to the lake. I know I like it. Right. And that was kind of my decision. When I was thinking about leaving the U.S., it was more of what opportunity is there. I'm not going to jump ship until I see another ship to get onto. So I found a couple of ships, and it was kind of a decision on which one do I jump on.
Oh, gotcha. And you've been so happy. I've been watching your videos. So those who haven't seen his videos are beautiful, and he puts together a story with it. So where did you learn all of this? I mean, did you pick it up yourself? I'm guessing you took it in college to do some. Really, this is all on your own?
Yeah, I learned it from YouTube.
And man, I can't. I'm lucky I can hit the record button.
A couple of my older brothers are filmmakers in some capacity. One of them is more of a writer, and the other one is more of a director. But when they were in college, and even before college, they were making movies. And so when I was in college, I lived with one of my brothers in Atlanta, Georgia, and we would film some stupid little music videos that you can probably find on the internet if you search hard enough.
I think I will.
but it just kind of, I was a little bit around the stuff, and then after college I moved to Hawaii, and I thought, I can't go to Hawaii without buying a GoPro. Right. And so I took the GoPro and started taking photos, and I realized the GoPro is better for video than photos, and then I realized putting together the videos was really fun because it was, you can rewatch a memory. It's like a visual memory. And I also had always loved construction. I worked in construction a bit when I was younger. Okay. And making something out of, you get the materials and take some time, and then it's a thing that didn't exist before. And so I really like the aspect of filmmaking where I have the raw materials, all the clips and the music and the voiceover and everything, and I put it together and I create something totally unique that no one has ever created before, and this has never existed in the history of the world. Right. And that to me is why I liked doing the video thing. And I've been doing it I moved to Hawaii in 2014, so I've been doing it for 10 years now. Okay. And so my skill set has evolved, how I make videos has changed, and but it's all self-taught with sometimes texting my brother for questions.
I find that amazing because your stuff is so good. Best way I can describe his stuff, and I mean this is beautiful. I mean it's really put together well. There's not a chance in hell I could do it. But what are you doing for a living now?
So I do a variety of different things. I still work for the nonprofit that brought me here. They allow me to have a residence permit, and I do video, photos, social media stuff for them. Okay, great. And then English. We're an international organization, so I do English copywriting for them. When we have to do stuff in English, I'll write stuff. But we also have an office in the U.S. that is for fundraising for the work that we do here.
Great.
And so I work as the communications director for the U.S. office also. So it's
Really?
like 2 jobs in the same company. And then I make a little bit from my YouTube videos, not very much, but a little bit. I have a Patreon that I make a little bit from. And then I take on freelance jobs every once in a while that I get paid. Local churches, local businesses will hire me to come make videos or take photos for them.
Very good. Now, if someone wanted to hire you, if I wanted to hire you to do some freelance work for me, how would I contact you?
Yeah, so here in Albania, a lot of people just use Instagram.
Okay.
But for me, like Instagram is a nice way for legitimacy to make sure
Okay.
that it's a real person.
Right.
But I prefer working through my email address,
Okay.
which is just my name, james.leithart@gmail.com.
Okay, we'll put that in the description.
And then you can also find a contact form on my website, which is jamesleithart.com.
Okay, great.
And I do work with international clients too. I've
awesome.
edited wedding videos for a guy in Japan. I've done a lot of video editing for some political nonprofits in the U.S. So basically, if I can get the materials, then I can give them a product back, and we can work that way.
Great. That's worldwide. It doesn't have
It
to
is
be here.
worldwide, yeah. And then
Wonderful.
I've recently also started doing like social media consulting and channel consulting and this kind of stuff. And so if people are interested in that, that's also potential to be worldwide because of the internet and the ease of video calls.
Gosh, you do it so well. I'm so jealous of that. Like I said, I can barely hit the record button. You guys, my alley cats know that. But I've been really looking forward to having this interview with you because just great stuff. So you've been here for 7 years?
I've been in Pogradec for 7 years, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you've seen some changes.
What it'll be. A little bit less than a month, it'll be 7 years.
Wow.
I've seen a lot of changes.
I bet you have.
Some of these roads that used to be dirt are now paved and have been paved multiple times sometimes, you know. Buildings going up,
Sure.
renovations, new paint, new governments, development in tourism, whether it's in a positive, sustainable way or not, which happens sometimes here. They're
Sure.
still figuring things out. But yeah, one of the things that I don't realize is how much it's changed until I go back to the videos that I made when I was first moving here in 2018, and there's a main road that heads to where I work, and it used to just be it was paved, but it was kind of, if you think of like a country lane in the U.S. where
Gotcha.
it's like there's a line down the middle of the road and that's it, and the sides are kind of crumbling. It was
Right.
like that. Since then, they built a bike path and a walking path, and it's a nice paved road, wide road. So it's just like little things like this that you don't really notice. It's small changes
Sure.
over time, and then you don't notice till you see the difference between
Gotcha.
the two years that are 7 years apart.
Now, from 7 years ago to today, are you seeing many more tourists coming to Albania?
Oh yes,
I can imagine.
Yeah. And even more people like yourself that are moving here.
Okay.
When I moved here, it was extremely rare for Americans to move here.
Gotcha.
When I moved to Pogradec, I was one of 2 or 3 American, like some of them were families, but 2 or 3 American groups that lived in Pogradec, and almost everyone else was Albanian. There were a few other German expats that were living here doing work and stuff. But in recent years, I was telling someone the other day, walking around Tirana and just hearing English more, whereas
Right.
when I moved here, I never heard English ever.
Okay.
It was so rare that if I would hear someone speaking English, I would just start talking to them and ask them where they were from, because I was so relieved to hear someone speaking
sure.
a language that I knew.
Sure. You know what else I wanted to ask you? COVID.
Yeah.
You were in COVID here. Albania wasn't shut down, and I've seen a lot of vloggers come here, and I think that really exploded Albania and bringing
Yeah.
them up. What was it like here in COVID?
Almost unnoticeable that anything was going on.
Okay. Yeah.
So they had some curfews, they had some a little bit of mask regulations, but it was like nobody really cared except in certain grocery stores that were chain stores that were around
Sure.
the country.
Sure.
And then there were some curfews of like 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock or whatever. But in the summertime, they would change the curfew to later so that people could still go out and enjoy
Right.
their summer evening. So it kind of, like, it was hard to figure out where it made sense. And then the curfews weren't always very strictly enforced. So I would be in my house looking out the window and seeing people out after curfew, and the police would stop them and they'd have some discussion, and then the guy would keep walking and the police would kind of shrug and
Right.
not be able to do anything. So it was really interesting. I think part of it comes from the fact that Albania was a communist country and the government told them what to do all the time, and then there's still a couple of generations of people that live here that remember that very well.
Sure.
And they just decide, you're not going to tell me what to do anymore. And so they understand. A lot of them understood to a certain extent. Okay, this is for health reasons. But if I need to go out to the store, I'm going to go out to the store. I'm not going to wait till you tell me when I can go.
Gotcha. I'm going to ask you a question that, just your personal opinion. Do you see Albania going to EU? Because I hear people say yes, I hear people say no.
I think so. I think it's a long ways away.
Okay, that's what I hear.
But my guess is, I think that the politicians care more about it being EU than the people necessarily.
Okay.
And that's going to end up being what pushes it. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but on average person on the street, I don't think they care that much. But
Gotcha.
Business people and politicians,
Sure.
the people that have influence in the country, I think that they might care more, which then will obviously push it towards that direction.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much for doing this interview
course.
with me, man. I very much appreciate it.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
You guys got to check out his channel. If those few that haven't, his stuff is really beautiful. It's the exact opposite of mine, to be perfectly honest with you. But
it shows a different. I try to paint a picture. I try to tell a story. I'm telling my story, and I'll put up drone footage of Pogradec at sunset to kind of give the setting. But what I used to do is closer to what you do, and it's like, this is what this city looks like from the ground. This is what life is like here. I walk around, and I was watching some of your videos the other day with someone, and they were like, these were really helpful before I came to Pogradec, so I could get an understanding of what it looks like, what to expect on the streets, how people are gonna interact, how people move around, this kind of thing. When you watch my videos, it's about my story,
Right.
so you don't see that as much. You don't see just the real raw life as much. And so I think there's definitely space for both of them, and it kind of depends on what the person watching is looking for. If they're wanting some almost storybook type of story about my couple of weeks in Pogradec, then my video is great. But if they're wanting to know, what is it like? What do the grocery stores look like? What is it like shopping in the outdoor market? What are the restaurants like? That's what your channel is for.
I appreciate that. Thank you, buddy.
Of course.
So James Leithart, you guys check him out. Appreciate the interview. Thanks for coming over, buddy.
Absolutely.
I'm going to take him out to lunch right now. At least I could do for him. All right. Talk to you guys later. Remember, I love you guys. All right. Bye-bye.